right now. Today is the day that you choose to change the rest of your life. It is time to turn your setback into the greatest comeback story ever told, and nobody is more capable than you. This is the Ranting Weight Watcher podcast, the future #1 weight loss podcast in the world. I am your host, Donato Russo. I hope you enjoy the show today. If this is your first time here and you enjoy the show, please subscribe and spread the word of the Ranting Weight Watcher podcast wherever you are and to whomever will listen. If you'd like to connect on social media or wherever else, check out my Linktree page, Linktree/the Ranting Weight Watcher. Let's connect today. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 215 of the Ranting Weight Watcher podcast. Journey updates. I am down this week, 2.2 pounds. Total loss since January 2019 is 178.6 pounds. Total pounds remaining to get to the 200-pound milestone is 21.4 pounds. I do really hope each and every one of you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Today, for the first time ever, we're going to go back in time to the year 2020, December 4th, 2020 to be exact. And we're going to have our first ever Flashback Friday. And we're going to see if the message for that holiday season still rings true today. Now, without further ado, here's episode 15 of the Ranting Weight Watcher podcast. So today we're talking about the holiday leftovers. The holiday's over. Now you're sitting, getting ready for Christmas. But you have a good 5 days worth of food that you really enjoyed on Thursday that can severely be a danger to your journey. So what do you do? What do you do with all that extra food? You know, there's so many ways you can handle this. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be different for every single person, how they want to handle this. Some people don't even care. Some people work so hard to make the meal, or they enjoyed the food so much, they don't care about their journey. They're going to finish that food. You know, I mean, what can I say? If that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do, right? And I think that translates to what mentality are we in when we're dealing with our journey. The person that doesn't care and just wants to eat all of the food because they get it once a year. I mean, I get that. That's where I was. I feel like when I was in that mentality and I didn't care, this is when, if I look back on stuff like that, I could easily say this is where the circle started to turn the other direction, right? If you look at your weight loss cycle as a circle, right? And this is before success of any kind. Most people join a weight loss system. They are in it to win it in the beginning. And as long as those pounds keep falling off, they're excited, they're determined, they're motivated, and they're all for the system. They eat, sleep, breathe. Everything is about this system. But then at some point in everybody's journey, it happens to everybody, the scale starts to slow down. The enthusiasm comes down. The scale starts to go in the wrong direction here and there, even though you feel like you did everything right. And now, here is the upswing. Here is the opportunity for you to recognize that and stay on course, and your journey would remain going forward. Or here's where you allow frustration to get the best of you, and you start to circle around back to old habits. I mean, because nothing's worse than gaining when you feel like you did everything right. And then what's the first thing that pops in your head? You just finished a whole week's worth of work. And everything went according to your plan. And at the end of that week, you step on the scale and you're up 3 pounds. What's the first thing happening in your mind? Well, if I'm going to eat all of this stuff I don't really want to eat, and do all of this exercise I don't really want to do, and it's still going to go up on the scale, forget it. I'm just going to eat whatever I want. That's exactly what's going through your head. Exactly. And so it's at this moment, with this thought in your mind, that your journey is either going to continue going forward, or you're going to make that U-turn and start turning it into a circle. Because the shame cycle, right? You do something, the scale goes up, and you get angry, right? So at the top of the circle, you're now angry, and you're going to say, I want to do something about this. So we enter the circle, and everything is going positively, and you start to feel successful. You start to feel comfortable. You start to feel confident. And then all of a sudden, you start to say, well, I deserve this indulgence. Whatever that indulgence is. I deserve it because of my success. But you don't realize that this one indulgence, this one thing you want because you feel like you did so well, you don't realize that that's a trigger food. You haven't identified it as such yet. So you go and have that indulgence, and boom, you're triggered. Now that one food item that you felt like you deserved turned into 5 or 6 other bad decisions. And now what happens? The voice of guilt sets in. Oh, look at you now. Look what you did. You ruined everything. And here we are, right back at the top of the circle, where you started from in the first place, the angry part of the cycle that caused you to make the change. So the same thing could be said about everything regarding the journey. If we don't analyze what caused us to go around in circles in the first place, we will continue to go around in circles. And now, why did I go on this tangent? Because it is these moments when you decide, you making a decision like, I don't care, I want to eat all of these leftovers. I only get them once a year. You don't realize it seems like a little stupid decision when you're making it, right? But then all of a sudden, 5 weeks later, 4 or 5 weeks later is Christmas, and you still haven't gotten back on track from the one decision you made to eat the leftovers on Thanksgiving. So I say all of this to you to put your guard up, because some of those food items on that Thanksgiving table have to be trigger foods. They just have to. Because, anything you don't enjoy is definitely not a trigger food. But everything you love to eat, there's got to be something in there that'll trigger you to make 5 or 6 other bad decisions. And that's what it's about. It's about stopping that. It's like in football, the prevent defense. You're trying to stop what could happen. You have to anticipate it before it happens. You turn on that, get the guys out there, prevent defense. And everything, you have to be on guard from everything. Why, Don, it's just turkey. It's just stuffing. It's just sweet potatoes. It's just pumpkin pie. It's just apple pie. It's just cookies. Do you see where I'm going with this? Because it's not just the turkey. It's everything that was on the table before the turkey, after the turkey, and during the turkey. You know, that Thanksgiving dinner is probably on any given person's plate, I don't even know, what, somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000 calories on one plate. I'm just throwing out numbers here. But if everything is made the way, Grandma used to make it, where everything gets a stick of butter, because you got to add flavor. If everything was made the typical holiday way, it's easily somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000 calories on one plate. And I would say that's not even including dessert. Maybe I'm wrong. I'd rather be overly cautious than relaxed on how I handle it. So what did I do? What did we do in this house with the leftovers? My wife asked me, what should I do about leftovers? And here's my one thing I want from Thanksgiving. This is the one thing I want. The next day, or the day after, whichever it is, I want my Thanksgiving sandwich. And what's my Thanksgiving sandwich consist of? So this is one sandwich a year, a sub roll. Some people call it a wedge. Some people call it a hero. Some people call it a sub. You know what I'm talking about. On a sub roll, everything that was on the table at Thanksgiving on a roll. All of it. With a little bit of mayo, salt, and pepper. Except for mashed potatoes. I don't really care for mashed potatoes. But we're talking turkey, cranberry sauce, sweet potatoes, stuffing, with a little bit of brown gravy, a little bit of mayo, salt, and pepper. On a roll. I have it once a year. I want enough. I said I want enough left over to make that one sandwich. And that's it. Everything else you can give away. And she gave a lot of it away. And she kept enough of it so that she can have a sandwich like that or whatever. Or something to do with the food. Whether it was just heating it up or whatever. And even my daughter got a little taste of a Thanksgiving sandwich, which she thought was fantastic. Except she didn't like the cranberry sauce, so she didn't take that. But she got her little taste of what Dad's Thanksgiving sandwich tastes like. So the idea is keep enough of it to do this one thing. If you want to have one more, if you want to have lunch the next day and you want a turkey sandwich, and you want to do something like I do with the sub roll, then keep enough of it to do that and give the rest away. And there's a bunch of people probably calling me nuts right now. But really, give it away. You invited all these people over your house, right? So you made this beautiful holiday meal. And you invited all these people over your house. And they all enjoyed the dinner immensely. And if you sent them all home with some, every single one of them, go out and buy those disposable Tupperware containers and Fill up a Tupperware container for every single member of your family and send them home with it. Like a goodie bag. Thank you for coming. Here you go. Thank you for coming. Here you go. Right? I mean, that's what, and then when they go home and they have some of that, they're thinking of you. Oh man, what a good job. She's so good at cooking. She's so good at making that turkey. She's so good at making those sides. Man, this meal was fantastic. They're all singing your praises. When they go home and they're tasting those leftovers. So it can't just be you enjoying the leftovers. Everybody that came is enjoying them. Send them all home with some of it. Have enough for yourself to do one more, whether it's lunch or dinner, whatever it is. One more. And whether it's the next day or the day after, whatever you want, you make that meal one more time. But when you're done, if there's more left, be done with it. Be done with it. We're going to take a break. Don't go anywhere. I now present to you the Ranting Weight Watcher Accountability Creed. If you choose this day to say this creed, you are accountable to me, the author. You are also accountable to all of those before you who have taken the creed, and all of those after you who will take the creed. But most of all, you are accountable to yourself. Now recite with me the Accountability Creed. Nothing can stand in my way because I choose to be unstoppable. My challenges crumble in my presence because I choose strength when I am weak. My insecurities have no power over my life because I choose confidence in the face of fear. I own every last one of my mistakes because I choose growth over mediocrity. The mirror and the scale are powerless because I move forward in spite of the result. Circumstances are not obstacles because I see solutions instead of problems. The demons of my past can no longer torment me because I choose to renew my mind daily. All things are possible as long as I believe, because if God is for me, who can be against me? This is the creed I declare each day. It is about what I do, not what I say. I will learn the work that needs to be done. I will never stop, even when I've won. I will work consistently, no matter the cost. I refuse to believe that all hope is lost. I will work when I want to. I will work when I don't. I will work when they are cheering. I will work when they won't. I will work when it's easy. I will work when it's hard. The atonements that I've made are made with no regard. I will work when it's cold. I will work when it's hot, because choices have consequences, justified or not. When I think I know it all, I will start back at one, because regardless of what I think, the work is never done. And from this moment forward, when times are tough, I choose to believe that I am enough. And we are back. Thanks for sticking with me. It is, I mean, so much can go wrong. There's only 4 weeks till Christmas at this point. 4 weeks. And Christmas, for me particularly, Christmas falls on a Thursday, Friday, and then basically weigh-in. So I got 2 days, and I'm from an Italian household here, so there's the feast of the 7 fish in our family. That's on Christmas Eve. So the typical Italian family out there listening, whatever, knows there are 7 types of fish on the table, prepared in so many different ways. And none of them which is conducive to you having a healthy lifestyle, that's for sure. I mean, you can argue that, okay, it's fish, so it's going to be healthy. Yes, but when you're making that fish and you got a butter sauce, whatever it is that you're dripping and dipping it in, some people do that butter sauce thing. They make lobster tails and whatever else. That's the part that kills it, what you do to it. Some people fry the fish. It's fried. It might as well be a burger. It might as well be, it doesn't matter. It's fried. It doesn't matter what's on the inside of it. You just deep fried the fish. It's only 4 weeks away. It's so detrimental to get back on course as quickly as possible. Because if you have a gain like mine, if you have a 5-pound gain for 2 days worth of eating, well, not really 2, 1 day worth of eating, but then 1 leftover meal, right? If you have a 5-pound gain with that, and then, but if you go back to having control, you can minimize the damage caused, right? Get that other extra weight off as quickly as possible and move on. And brace yourself for Christmas, because Christmas is coming, right? Now, New Year's is like, I mean, it's a holiday, don't get me wrong, but there's nothing there that it's not as challenging as Thanksgiving or Christmas, not at all. And then right after New Year's is my birthday, January 4th. So I got between Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's sort of, and then my birthday. If I don't get back to work every single time one of these things hits, by the end of this month, I could be 20 pounds up. If one day gave me 5, I could be 20 pounds up by my birthday. If I stay that course. So it is very detrimental. And the quicker you realize that it's just as detrimental to you as it is to me, you can make that correction. You can do what needs to be done to get back on course. So what do you think? You think the message still holds true? You think that a 4-year-old idea, I'm sure it's way older than 4 years old, but that was the publishing date of that podcast. So you think an idea that was given 4 years ago still applies today? I think you could easily say that it does. The most important thing we have to remember at these times of the year is that this is not about the food you're eating. I mean, really think about this for a second. The people that sit at the table on these holidays, regardless of which one it is, close your eyes. Think of the people that sit at the table. How many of them are no longer with us? How many of them haven't you spoken to in so long? How many of them do you ask yourself every single year the question that's more like, why is it that I only see this person this time of year? Why can't I see them more often? Just think about that for a minute. Is it really about the food? Is it really? When you think about all of the people that are not here, if you could have all of those people back for the price of the food that you would have eaten in a year's worth of holidays, would you do it? Would you skip all of the food on every major holiday so you can have that loved one back? If your answer is yes, now what you're telling me is the loved ones are more important than the food you ate. If you can give up the holiday food for a year and have more time with anyone, alive or dead, would you do it? And if your answer is yes to that, what's really important about the holiday? If we just prove to ourselves that food is not the part that's important, then why do so many of us just have a free-for-all and use this entire 3-month span to go crazy? How many more years can you go from October 1st to December 31st and not caring how you treat your own body? How many more years do you think you have left that you can get away with that? How many more years until everyone else at the table is remembering when you used to sit there? We don't think about that. We're invincible, right? It's not going to happen to us. How many of the loved ones that are gone would still be here if they skipped a few? Oh, Don, you got to enjoy yourself. You got to enjoy life. What about food has to do with joy? The fact that food gives you joy is part of the problem. It's part of the reason you're hearing my voice right now. How many more years can you keep treating your body this way? How many more years until you're one of the people missing at the table? I used to hear people talking the way I'm talking right now. I used to think they were extreme. They were a little crazy, twisted in the mind. I couldn't see a world where food was the least important thing. Because in my mind, I was still too busy believing it was the most important thing. That's the truth. I used to do all that. It took me getting above 400 pounds for the second time in my life to see the truth for what it was and say, is food really worth my life? Is the food that I love so much, that I have such an emotional attachment to, really worth my life? Is the price of my life really a package of Oreos every Saturday? Is the price of my life really multiple trips to the drive-thru, whether it's Burger King, McDonald's, Wendy's? Is the desire for junk food worth more than my life? I understand we're not necessarily talking about junk food. I understand that McDonald's is not the same thing as Thanksgiving food. Just because the food is different doesn't mean the behavior is. Choosing food over your own life is the behavior. Your desire to please your tongue over saving your own life is the behavior. What that is that's pleasing your tongue matters very little. You're not invincible. I'm not invincible. Everybody's going to die. I get it. But why do you have to die prematurely because you believe the food you're putting in your mouth causes you so much pleasure that you're willing to throw away your life to feel that pleasure? That pleasure has become so incredibly valuable, it has made you believe that life isn't worth living outside of that pleasure. And we go on, and we pretend that all of the problems that we have, all of the pain, all of the illness, we pretend that's all stuff that comes with old age. But it doesn't. It doesn't come with old age. It comes with poor diet. Overwhelming majority of the illnesses in this country come because of poor diet. Every time you choose, you're choosing life or death. How many years have you been choosing death? How many more can you continue choosing it? How many more will you gain if today you started to choose life? You see, it's not difficult. It's relatively simple in the broad scheme of things. We have to go back to basics. We have to eat the way we used to eat before there was all this technology to preserve food. Whether they're preserving food chemically, whether they're preserving food in your home just to make it last a couple of weeks until you go to your next grocery store shopping. We have to go back to eating before all of that existed. When there were no additives in food, when you literally had to make everything from scratch, or you had to kill it or grow it yourself. That's the way we have to go back to eating. We are so far from that me just saying that makes me sound crazy to some of you. I'm not being radical here. I'm saying the way we've been eating for the last 20 years is radical. And the way everyone used to eat 30 and 40 and 50 years ago is the way. And we lost our way. And it's time to get back to what we started with. Back to what caused actual healthy lives. And if you think some governmental body is going to have your best interests at heart and tell you what is the real way to be healthy, then continue in your delusions. Because they don't care if you drop dead yesterday. They care that when you drop dead, they have the majority of the money you spent your entire life earning. And they do that by making sure you eat a certain way, and then you get sick a certain way, and then you are treated a certain way, and then you are dead a certain way. It's time to grab your life back. No more nonsense. It's time to really think it out here. The truth is the truth. Get back to a simplistic life, a simplistic way of eating. Forget everything that comes in a box. Forget everything that comes in a wrapper. If it grew out of the ground, eat it. If it's part of an animal, eat it. If it came from an animal, eat it. If it's anything else, if you didn't make it from scratch, don't eat it. It's that simple. Every choice for the other side, every choice for convenience is a choice against your life. It's that true right now. The companies that make this food have no desire to make sure you're healthy. They just have a desire to earn every dollar that you earn from you. That's it. Take it or leave it. It is what it is. That's the world we live in. I love each and every one of you. God bless you all.